Unless you've been hiding under a rock these last couple of weeks, you would have noticed a champion emerge in the mid lane, and that is AP Kog'Maw mid. With the buffs on 10-13 to his Q and his ultimate AP ratios, Kog'Maw mid has returned to the mid lane. A pro player that's been popping off with him is, of course, in the EU West, it is Caps on G2. He's been putting up some massive performances, and today we're going to break down why he's so good on this pick and what this pick does for team comps, when to pick it, how to play it, and a couple of tips and tricks for when you pick it in your own SoloQ games. Starting off, when are you picking Kog'Maw mid and when are people playing it? Kog'Maw counters mid to long range control mages. Things like Azir, things like Zoe, things like Victor, things like Ryze, Cassiopeia, even Orianna he does great into. Kog'Maw mid is not blindable. If you pick this champion and an enemy has something like an Echo, something like a Zed, you're gonna have a terrible time. It's not gonna go well for you. When you watch players like Caps pick this champion, he's looking to pick into Zoe, Azir, Orianna in pro play, where you can outrange their abilities. If Cassiopeia and Ryze was played a little bit more, Kog'Maw would also do extremely well into these champions. You lay down your E, you slow them, and then you just line up your artillery. If Azir tries to engage, you flash out, or you have a champion like Tahm Kench, which is very often picked when you play this Kog'Maw to get you out to safety. This Kog'Maw, guys, it's super potent, but you've got to pick it in the right scenarios, and that's what Caps has been doing in his pro play games. A huge tip I can give you guys is not to be using the Battlecast or the Arcanist Kog'Maw skins. As you can see here, the indicator for his ultimate shows a square on the ground where it's about to land. If you compare this to a base skin, the base animation, look how hard this is to see. There's hardly any ground animation. It's very difficult as opposed to that Battlecast skin. And even with the ultimate, guys, look at the range. It looks like it's not going to hit, but it does. Kog'Maw has a very stupid range with his ultimate, even on his E ability. Watch that. Look at the indicator. It looks like it's not going to hit, but it does. Kog'Maw has some very strange range indicators, guys. You've got to make use of them to catch the enemy off guard. And look at this Arcanist, this brand new Kog'Maw skin. Look at that. It has a big blue goddamn gem on the ground showing them. Look at that. In the middle of the team fight, you can see that. Now, as opposed to the baseline Kog skin, you cannot see that in a team fight with a lot of things going on. There's no chance. So that's a huge tip you guys can be using to get an edge over your opponents in SoloQ. Another pro tip I can give you guys for Kog'Maw is to use Smartcast with Indicator for the Kog'Maw. That's a Smartcast there. It gives you no indication of how long your ultimate is. Smartcast with Indicator, though, it shows you the max range, guys. At level 6, yes, this may not be necessary because you can see entirely what's in front of you. But once you start getting level 11 and 16, when your R is literally a complete screen away, it helps so much. You see Caps using it here, guys. And it just helps you show the entire range of how far your ultimate can reach. Because sometimes even I get caught off guard with how long your level 16 ultimate goes. Jumping into the rune pages, guys, you have two options. You're either going Phase Rush or Comet. Phase Rush obviously gives you more mobility in lane to either evade ganks or chase people down. Think of things like Olaf. If he's trying to gank you, you Phase Rush out. You can usually evade his axes and you will live. If you're looking for more lane dominance, the Comet's going to give you more damage in lane. Maybe try and get a couple of solo kills if you can. So I prefer, personally, the Phase Rush to evade ganks, give me a little bit more mobility. But if you're a more lane dominant player, the Comet can work for you and you can run that every game. There really is no, there's not really that much of a downfall for trading these two runes. And as you can see, you got Mana Flow Band, Transcendence, and Scorch. With Presence of Mind, Coup de Grace, and Attack Speed. Obviously, you're going to be having the Presence of Mind, Mana Flow, and the Archangel Staff. They all synergize together to give you a really good mid-game spike. I think it's super important, guys, to look at the Summoner spells as well. So you're going to be running either Teleport, Cleanse, or Ghost. I think Ghost is a little bit overkill when you have something like the Phase Rush. I think when you're running Comet, Ghost can work well. But for Kog, if you're into a control mage like Orianna, like Syndra, Teleport, or Azir, Teleport is perfect. If you're into something that has a lot of hard CC like TF, like Zoe, the Cleanse is always going to be the better option. Your rune page definitely influences your early game though, guys. So with the Phase Rush setup, what a lot of these mid laners like to do is go W first, get your autos down, evade the enemy skill shot with your Phase Rush, and hunt them down with your long range W. If you have the Comet, however, you can slide that E out to start with and get a little bit of poke off. You got to be careful with E though. Very mana hungry spamming E's early. Be very super cautious of just spamming E in lane because the enemy, especially if you don't have teleport, you could get stuck with 0 mana in lane and you could have a really bad back timing. So when picking this Kog'Maw mid, guys, you need to understand you're a hyper late game scaler. You are not an early game champion. Don't take risks in lane, take slow trades. Watch Caps here, he gets caught out. Has to blow his flash, takes a very bad trade. You have no escape ability. Please, in the early game, sit back, be very cautious of enemy ganks because you are a sitting duck for the enemy to be killed. Farm perfectly, scale up, get that Archangel staff and become a weapon in the late game is what your goal should be. Game plan early, guys, what is it? It's to farm. You have a farm lane. Yes, maybe you can get some solo kills, but it's going to be very hard. You may have to overextend. I wouldn't recommend pushing too hard for them. Try and farm correctly and look for about 1,000 gold for your first base. Tier is that item that you're looking for. And a control wood if you can get your hands on it. Caps here, he goes boots actually. Obviously the extra mobility help you evade ganks, but if you have enough money for that control wood, guys, super important for Kog to have that vision early game until you hit that level 6 where you can start farming from afar. When level 6 rolls around, guys, and the enemy has something aggressive like a Zed or this Silas, you can farm from a very long distance. Look at Caps. Obviously, he did get this blue. Second blues should be going to a Kog'Maw mid. If they don't, I'd like to talk to whoever's junglers is taking that. Shove your mid lane, guys, if you can't trade. Look at the enemy jungle. Try and steal something away. Try and roam bot. Try and pressure an objective with your jungler if there's no solo kill opportunities in the mid lane. But if you're into a control mage, you can harass them a lot. So he's harassed this Orianna here, and watch this. He gets his phase rush, he has his W empowered for the extra range, and boom, gets a solo kill.
Scorch got her. And that is why you always play Scorch, guys.
And he talks about there, that's why he runs Scorch for that extra kill pressure in lane. You see, in this game against Misfits, he's looking for the harass onto Forbidden, and look at that. If he lands one ultimate there, that Azir is dead. And this is what you want to be doing, harassing your opponents as much as possible, especially if there's something like an Azir, something like a Zoe, something like an Orianna. Poke them out, then look for an all-in with all of your extra range that you have on them at level 6. So it's the mid game. What do you do now? You have level 2 ultimate, you group, and you spam your ultimate. Get blue buff and kill everything. It's as simple as that, guys. Kog'Maw is so good for sieging in the mid to late game. If they have no hard engage, you pretty much insta-win. You're just poking from afar, they can't deal with you, they can't engage with you. Just make their life a living hell with your ultimate and land your skill shots. When it comes to itemization, usually, so Archangel, 100%, that's the rush. Second item, what do we go? Cap sometimes prefers Leandries into Rylai's, into Void Staff. There was a professional game where he literally just went Archangel Death Cap when the enemy team had no health or MR. It's really situational, but I definitely think his core items, Archangel, Leandries, Rylai's, Death Cap, Void. If you need a defensive item, if the enemy team has something like, let's say, a Kayn, let's say a Rengar, you need that Hourglass. You're going to have to try and fit that in somewhere in the mid-game build. But overall, you can't really go wrong with Archangel, Leandries, Rylai's, Void Staff, Death Cap. Get a stopwatch sometimes, guys. It's going to help out. But overall, when you get in the mid to late game, your Kog'Maw should be able to take over the game. I see too many people comboing incorrectly on Kog'Maw, guys. His abilities can be buffered at the same time. I don't know why people sometimes don't utilize this. So that's his Q ability. That's his Q, then E. You can see there's a delay. Now, you can EQ instantly. Look at that, EQ instantly thrown out. And because the slow hits first, it's very hard to dodge. And you can throw the ultimate on top of that. Boom. You want to throw your E out, and then you throw your ultimate out as soon as the E's coming out. When that lands, you can watch Caps here, guys. E into his path. He's slowed. He can't dodge the ultimate. You want to be layering your abilities, guys. You don't want to be throwing them out for no reason. Get that slow, followed up with the ultimate exactly where their path is. They're slowed. They're going to get directly hit in the head with that living artillery. So that's it for my Caps Kog'Maw rundown, guys. Hope you've enjoyed, hope you've learned something, and good luck in your SoloQ games. Peace.